Hey there everybody, how's it going? Nice to see you again. Thanks for coming out today. Got a little bit of a cloudy day, so it makes for a nice video weather. And it's not too hot either. Today I want to talk about the 14-24 2.8 DGDN Sigma lens art series. Absolutely phenomenal. Look at that bad boy right there. Yeah. So one of the real advantages of being with a camera system that has the largest market share, and that would be Sony in mirrorless. I think they're up to like 35%, Canon's the second with 27%. When you factor in DSLRs, Canon's still on top in terms of market share, but Sony's right behind them, and Sony doesn't make a DSLR, and they haven't for 10, 15 years if they ever did. Don't know what they did a long time ago. Doesn't really matter. The point is that you get a great, fantastic aftermarket support. And more importantly, with 35% market share, that means a lot of pros are using this stuff. And that means that there's gear out there for the things that pros want to do. And one of the things that I absolutely want to do with an ultra wide angle 14mm lens on a full frame is use a neutral density filter, particularly a 10 stop or more. And that has always been a problem. You kind of need the bulbous front element in order to make for a really sharp lens. It just seems that all the wide angles that have that bulbous front element tend to be really, really good in my experience. And I mean, I love a lens that takes a screw-in filter, but there's issues with that, and there would be issues with vignetting, so the built-in lens hood on this is right to the edge right there. So it really, they make these things that slide over the top, etc. Never been my favorite. A thing to understand about wide-angle, ultra-wide-angle lenses is when you, on a full-frame camera, when you get below 24mm, you kind of don't really want to use a polarizer. I mean, if you're taking photographs of foliage and stuff, foliage, as the French would say, you can get away with it maybe, but it's going to heavily polarize some areas and not the other areas because of the wide angle of view. And so it's been my rule of thumb that below 24mm, I really don't use a polarizer. So for me, I don't really care if I can put a polarizer on this lens. The important thing is that the lens is colorful and contrasty, and this lens is. But what is important is that I can put a neutral density filter on this, because a very typical thing to do with an ultra wide or a wide angle lens is to take a shot with a neutral density filter on, smooth out the water, that kind of a thing. I've had this lens less than a week and I've already done that, and the shot turned out fantastic. So how did I do that? Well, there's a company called Haida, H-A-I-D-A, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and they make these. And that's the Haida neutral density filter kit for the Sigma 14-24, and I think the 14-14 or something, Sigma makes another prime lens. But you can see there are these tiny little filters, like so, okay? And they go in the back of the lens, and they give you this really neat little case that that stores them, and they're super protected in that case. And you get 3 stops, 4 stops, 6 stops, and 10 stops. And how they work is this. So here we have our lens and our filters, and you open that up. I'll take a 3-stop neutral density filter out. There it is. They're all multi-coated as well. And the levers to the left, drop that in. They're glass, they're multi-coated, I already said that. And that's it, it's ready to go. Just pop that on your camera and away you go. You've got a 3-stop neutral density filter. So we'll just pop a 6-stop in there. And there it is, 6 stops. Obviously I need to clean that a little bit. This pops right out. And there you have it. Doesn't get any easier than that, particularly with a super wide angle lens. So very happy with that. Okay, ain't that neat how Sigma built that little lever and all the rest of it on there, and Haida rose to the challenge and made those filters for this lens. They work a treat and they really solve the problem, and a very elegant solution for neutral density on an ultra wide angle. Having said all that, the lens itself is extremely sharp. I'm really impressed with the level of quality of the resolution and the contrast and the color. Just Sigma really knocked it out of the park with this one. Right at 2.8 at 14, it's like tack sharp all the way into the corners. Like just, you know, and the only place where it loses a little bit, and I'm saying it goes from like superb to just excellent, is at f2.8 at 24 millimeters in the corners. But everywhere else, this lens is superb at every aperture, at every focal length, and all the way into the corners. What more could you ask for? It's a little lighter and a little smaller than the Sony equivalent. Oh, picking up a little breeze here. And it's half the price, less than half the price. The Sony's like $2,800, something like that, around there, US dollars. And this was $1,300 US dollars. So absolutely phenomenal. Very impressed and very happy with this lens. I haven't shot wide angle a lot in recent years. The other lens that I would compare this to that I was using professionally is the Fuji 10-24 f4, and that lens was, I had a good copy. I liked it. It seemed to do okay on the 40 megapixel sensor, but it was excellent. I wouldn't say it was superb. Kind of had to stop it down to f5.6, etc., that kind of thing. But it got the job done, but it wasn't this. This is a whole nother league, and it really is a spectacular lens. I actually prefer this lens over the Sony, even though I've never had the Sony, just because the Sony doesn't take those filters, and I don't think anybody makes those filters for it. You can cut gels, but that's a total PIA, if you know what I mean. So there it is. And I'll end this video with the shot that I took, and it was like the first shot I've ever taken with this lens, and it's a portfolio-worthy shot. So what can I say? Can't say fairer than that. Like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you out here. Have a great one. Bye.